Alora didn't think twice. The moment she saw the fire and heard her twin sister crying out for help, she ran in, barefoot, fearless, determined. "Alina, hold on. I'm here. I won't let anything happen to you. Not now. Not ever." She dragged her sister out, coughing, choking, and burned badly. But what came next was betrayal, rejection, and a pain deeper than her scars. So family, and watch the full story now. A journey of pain, betrayal, courage, and unexpected glory. The full story. Elora and Elena were born just 2 minutes apart, but life treated their faces like one was made from fine gold and the other from leftover clay. At just age 6, the world had already picked a favorite. Elora was the kind of child strangers would stop on the road just to compliment. Skin like freshly peeled apple, lashes that looked like feathers, dimples that could melt even an angry teacher's heart. Elena, on the other hand, was quiet beauty, gentle with a face that didn't shout for attention. Her features were soft but not loud enough for the world to notice. At birthdays and family outings, people would bend to hug Elora, saying things like, "This one go cause wahala for boys when she grow," and then they'd turn to Elena with awkward smiles. She resembled her great-grandma, calm and quiet. But despite the world's reactions, despite the obvious difference in admiration, their parents never showed favoritism. Their mother, Mrs. Gloria, would say, "God gave me 2 hearts in different wrappers. One wrapper may shine more, but both hearts beat just the same." And their father, Mr. Ben, would laugh and say, "Anybody who loves Elora more than Elena, go collect from me. These 2 are my joy." That kind of love is rare, but it was real in their home. The girls bathed together, laughed together, and cried in each other's arms when one scraped a knee or failed a spelling test. Elora never bragged about her looks. In fact, whenever someone praised her too much, she'd pull Elena close and say, "But my sister is smarter. She can draw anything. Even your house." And when kids at school mocked Elena, called her names like Dusty Twin or the other one, Elora would fold her arms and say, "Say that again, and I won't invite you to my birthday." They were a team, a quiet team. At night, they'd lie side by side, and Elora would whisper, "Lena, when we grow up, I'll buy us matching dresses, and we'll open a big cake shop. Your art, my charm. Perfect duo." Elena would giggle, "And I'll draw us as superheroes, with big capes and beautiful faces, both of us." They didn't care that mirrors showed them 2 different reflections. In their little hearts, they saw only one thing: love. That day started normal, too normal. The sun was shining, birds were singing, and their mum was in the kitchen making lunch. Elora was upstairs dancing and checking herself in the mirror, shouting, "Somebody should come and see fine girl, oh, beauty queen in the building." Elena was on the bed, drawing one of her cartoons. She laughed at her sister's drama. They were both happy. Then suddenly, boom! The gas cooker in the kitchen exploded. The whole house shook like a bomb had dropped. Smoke rushed everywhere. Fire started chasing things. The curtains caught fire. The wooden ceiling above their room began to crack. Everything happened so fast. Elora shouted, "Lena, run! Fire, fire!" They tried to escape, but a burning plank fell, trapping Elena's leg. Elora screamed, crying, "Elena! Elena! Get up now!" Elena shouted back, "Run! Just go!" But Elora didn't go, and without thinking, she ran back in. Yes, the beauty queen ran into the fire. She yanked at the shelf with her bare hands, coughing and crying, "No, no, 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 Lena, you're not dying today. I won't let you." She pulled her sister out. Their dad and mum were screaming from the kitchen side. Neighbors had already started gathering outside, pouring water and calling for help. Their dad managed to drag the girls out, but not before the fire had already licked Elora badly. By the time they reached the hospital, half of Elora's beautiful face and shoulder were burnt. She was barely talking. Her skin had turned red, raw, and painful. The once glowing Elora was now lying helplessly with tubes in her mouth. Her face was wrapped in white cloth. The doctor shook his head and said, "We can fix her, but the treatment is very expensive. It'll cost millions. We need to start quickly before the burn damages more." Their parents froze. Millions? Where would they see such money? Their mum started crying. "Please help us, doctor. This is my child, my princess." But the hospital said, "Without the money, we can only manage her pain. We can't start the surgery." So they watched. They sat there, day and night, watching their daughter, once the most admired girl in the whole street, fade into silence. Alora stopped talking. She wouldn't look at anyone. She turned her face to the wall whenever someone entered. Even her twin, Elena, would sit beside her and beg, "Please talk to me now. I'm still your twin. I'm still here." But Alora just blinked slowly. The hospital mirror was removed because each time Alora saw her reflection, she screamed and pulled the bandages. One nurse whispered to another, "This one fine girl done turn horror movie. God forbid." Elena heard it. Her fists clenched. She wanted to fight, but her heart was too broken. Their dad tried selling his taxi. Their mum borrowed money from everyone she knew. But it wasn't enough, so the doctors gave up. They only managed her scars. And just like that, the girl who was once the center of attention, who people begged to use as little bride, who neighbors hailed as Miss World in advance, was now hidden away like a shame. People started avoiding them. Friends stopped visiting. Even some relatives advised them to keep Alora indoors so she wouldn't scare people. But the worst part? Alora believed it. She believed she was no longer wanted, no longer loved, no longer beautiful. After a few weeks at home, the whispers began. From neighbors, from church members, even from her classmates. People who used to call her Angel Face now called her Fire Girl. They said things like, "Ah, what a waste of beauty. She should just stay indoors." Alora stopped going out. She wouldn't even sit on the balcony like before. She just sat in the corner of the room, staring at the wall, day after day. And gradually, like a silent wind before a storm, Alora noticed that her mother no longer brought her food to her room like before. She would hear clanging plates from the kitchen, laughter from the dining room, and footsteps passing her door, but no knock. Sometimes she would wait till late night, hoping someone remembered her. But no one did. And Elena, her twin, her best friend, was always busy. If Alora tried to talk, she'd reply with short words like, "I'm tired." Later. "Can't talk now." It felt like everyone was slowly tiptoeing away from her, pretending not to notice the gap they were creating. But the real blow came on a Thursday evening. Alora was lying on her bed, reading an old novel, when the door flung open. It was Elena, with a suitcase in one hand and a box of shoes in the other. Alora sat up, confused. "What are you doing?" she asked, blinking fast. Elena didn't answer immediately. She started grabbing more clothes from the wardrobe, folded them, dumped them into the suitcase. Her movements were fast, cold, final. Alora's voice trembled. "Elena, what's going on? Are you traveling? Where are you taking my shoes to?" Elena paused. She turned slowly, met her sister's eyes, and said with a straight face, "I'm relocating to the other room. I can't do this anymore." Alora's heart dropped. "Do what?" she whispered. Elena exhaled deeply. "I can't keep waking up, and the first thing I see is your burned face. I can't go to sleep and have your scars staring at me. It messes with my mood, with my dreams, with everything." She chuckled bitterly. "I'm tired of having a bad day just because of what I saw at night. I'm not strong like Mum. I'm not pretending anymore." Alora's mouth hung open. Words refused to come out. All she could do was stare at the one person she believed would never leave her side. "Elena," she finally said in a soft voice, "is this how much I disgust you now?" Elena swallowed hard, looked away, and dragged her bag toward the door. "Elena!" Alora stood, tears falling freely now. "You said you'll always be here for me. You said you needed me. You promised to be my mirror." Elena didn't turn back. She stopped at the door and said without emotion, "Maybe I lied." Slam! The door shut behind her. Alora stood in the middle of the room, trembling. She looked at her reflection in the cracked mirror. One side of her face was smooth, untouched. The other side was the reason her own twin sister ran. She whispered to herself, even Elena, my other half, sees me as a monster. That night, Alora didn't sleep, not a blink. Instead, she wrote a new name in her notebook. Elena, the first betrayal. Years later, Elena had grown into a breathtaking young woman. Her skin glowed. Her figure was flawless. Her hair bounced like it had its own rhythm. People turned when she walked by. Strangers complimented her parents. Your daughter should be on billboards. And oh, how they beamed with pride. Meanwhile, Alora had also grown. Only time hadn't been her friend. The scars from the fire didn't fade. They deepened. Her face looked like it had been carved by pain. One side of her lips twisted slightly when she smiled. The burns had eaten into her beauty and replaced it with something people found hard to look at. Everywhere she went, people flinched. Some whispered. Others stared like she was a walking horror movie. But she didn't cry as much anymore. She had mastered the art of swallowing her tears, even when they burned her throat. On this particular day, she returned from the hospital, quietly dragging her feet and trying to ignore the stares she got from neighbors. The skin grafts still hurt, her face still burned. Her heart? That one was already on fire. She dragged her feet through the gate, clutching her brown hospital bag, trying to balance her strength with her brokenness. As she opened the front door and stepped into the sitting room, she heard laughter. It was the kind that made you smile without knowing why, until you realized you were not part of the joke. Inside, Elena and 3 of her friends were dancing, singing, laughing like the world owed them happiness. Their joy filled the air until they saw Alora. Silence. Like someone had pressed pause on their happiness. One of the girls gasped dramatically, then leaned closer to Elena and whispered, loud enough for Alora to hear. But you promised she wouldn't come out until we're gone. Another girl hissed and covered her face with a pillow. This is another bad dream for me tonight. Thanks, Elena. You've officially ruined my sleep again. They all burst into laughter. Not giggles. Not the playful kind. Cruel laughter. The kind that stabs you in the heart and twists the knife slowly. Alora stood by the door, frozen. Her fingers gripped the handle of her hospital bag like it could hold her up. Her lips quivered. Her knees wobbled. She tried to smile, to pretend she didn't care, to show she was strong. But her eyes betrayed her. Tears rolled out, first one, then another, then everything poured. She turned and ran as fast as her slippers could carry her. But just before she disappeared into the hallway, she heard it. Elena's voice. Sharp, cold, without remorse. Stay in your room. Monster, she screamed. Stop spoiling my day. Every time I start to feel normal, you show up like a horror movie scene. Slam. Alora crashed into her room and locked the door. Her breath came in gasps. Her tears soaked her blouse. She slid down to the floor, hugging herself like that was all she had left in the world. Inside that small room, silence swallowed her, except for the soft, broken words she kept whispering to herself. I'm not a monster. I'm not. I'm not. I didn't choose this face. I didn't. But even she didn't believe it anymore. Not when her own twin, her mirror, her other half, called her a nightmare. That day, something shifted in Alora. Not her face, not her wounds, her soul. She wrote a new word under Elena's name in her notebook. Monster, the name my own blood gave me. It was a cold evening. The rain had just stopped, and the house smelled of wet dust. Alora sat by the kitchen door, thus quietly picking beans for dinner. She wasn't asked to. She just wanted to feel useful. As she bent over the tray, she heard footsteps, voices. It was her sister, Elena, and their mother, Gloria. They didn't notice her there. Alora leaned closer to the door, not out of curiosity, but survival. These days, hearing their plans was the only way to prepare for the next heartbreak. Elena, what's bothering you? Gloria asked as she poured herself a cup of tea. Mummy, I'm tired, oh. Elena hissed, tossing her hair back. I can't keep living with that horror movie character. Gloria chuckled lightly. Haba, don't say that. I'm serious, Elena snapped. You know Brian, my fiance? He's planning to visit soon. And I swear, if he sees her face N, he will call off the engagement and run to the airport. Elena, I'm not joking. If my friends, people who've known us for years, are terrified of her, how much more a new man I'm planning to marry? Just looking at her first thing in the morning is enough to ruin anyone's day. Alora's heart clenched. Her fingers froze mid-pick. But the worst was yet to come. Elena lowered her voice. I was thinking, why not send her to Auntie Josephine in the village? You know she's childless and lonely. Let her go and keep her company. Far away from here. There was silence. Then Gloria sighed. You know what? That's not a bad idea. Honestly, even me. Sometimes I look at her and shiver. Her presence just changes the whole atmosphere. They both laughed. A cruel, careless laughter that stabbed Elora deeper than her scars ever had. Gloria added with a smirk, I'll talk to your father tonight. Let's arrange it. She can leave this weekend. Elora didn't wait to hear more. She slowly stood up, her fingers shaking, eyes filled with hot, silent tears. So this was it. Thrown out like a broken chair. Sent away so her own sister's life could remain perfect. She looked down, then up at the wall. The same house where she once giggled, ran around in pigtails, and kissed her parents goodnight. Now a cage. Now a place that couldn't wait to spit her out. She tiptoed to her room, sat on her mattress, stared at the wall with swollen eyes. No food, no appetite, just pain. Again. A few days later, Elora stood quietly with her small bag in hand, staring at Auntie Josephine's house like it was a prison gate. Come in, my child, Auntie Josephine said softly, her face filled with pity and confusion. You'll be safe here. But Elora didn't respond. She just walked in quietly, dragging her legs like a wounded dog. She didn't even wait for a tour. She walked straight into the tiny guest room, shut the creaky wooden door, and turned the key. She locked herself in. Inside, the room smelled of old clothes and forgotten memories. Elora dropped her bag, sat on the floor, leaned her head against the wall, and cried. Cried until her throat hurt. Cried until she could no longer feel the tears, just the ache in her chest. Outside, Auntie Josephine was knocking gently. Elora, open the door, my dear. You need to eat something. Silence. Elora, please. You're not alone here. I know it hurts. I know you're broken, but you're not alone. Still, not a word. For 2 days, Elora remained in that room. She only came out to use the toilet at night when Josephine had gone to bed. No food, no talk, just quiet sobbing that echoed through the cracked walls. On the 3rd day, Josephine had had enough. She stood by the door with her arms folded. Elora, if you don't open this door today, I will call your mother and tell her to come and carry you back to that city you hate so much. Suddenly, bang! The door flew open. No, Auntie, please, Elora shouted, her eyes wide and red. Don't send me back. I don't want to go back there. Please, I beg you. Josephine was startled. She stared at Elora, skin pale, eyes swollen, lips dry. But still, even with all the pain in her face, she looked like a wounded child desperate for safety. If you must stay here, Josephine said gently, reaching out and brushing a strand of hair behind her niece's ear, then we need to talk. You and I, woman to woman. Elora looked down. I'll listen, she whispered. I just don't want to go back. Josephine pulled her in for a warm hug, and for the first time in weeks, Elora didn't pull away. Good, Josephine said with a small smile, because the village is not heaven, but maybe, just maybe, we can build a new beginning here. Later that evening, the house was quiet after dinner. Crickets sang gently outside. Elora sat across from Auntie Josephine. Josephine cleared her throat and leaned forward, resting her arms on the table. Her voice was calm but firm, like a mother who had seen too much life to sugarcoat anything. Elora, she began, you see this world we live in? It doesn't care if you are the twin that ran into fire or the one that stood behind and cried. Life doesn't care who got burnt, who got blamed, or who broke. Elora sat still, blinking slowly. Her eyes were already filling up. Josephine continued, "Yes, I know your story. Everybody does. Fire broke out that day while your mother was cooking. Instead of running out like the rest of them, you ran back in into the flames for Elena, your twin, your other half." She paused, eyes narrowing. "See, what you did was noble. But the thing is, life is not group work, my dear. It's per head. Everybody will give account for their own life. Elena has moved on. Your mother, Gloria, has moved on. Their lives continued like a movie with a happy ending." She chuckled bitterly. "Even the people you nearly died for now treat you like yesterday's bad news. If you like, stay in that room and cry till the roof falls down. It will not stop Elena from getting married or Gloria from bleaching her skin and forming fine auntie in the city." That was when Elora broke. Her tears dropped like rain on dry sand. "I don't understand," she sobbed. "Elena promised. She promised to always stay with me, to always love me. We were two halves of one heart. And my mother, my own mother, didn't even try." She broke down completely, her chest heaving. "I should have asked her to promise never to leave me," she cried, "but I was too busy protecting them to think of myself." Josephine's eyes softened. She stood up, walked over, and sat beside her. Then, gently, she placed her arm around Elora's shaking shoulders. "Listen to me, Elora," she said. "Turn your hurt into your fuel. Don't let their rejection destroy you. Let it push you to become dangerously strong. Let your scars speak, but don't let them shout louder than your purpose." She turned Elora's face toward her. "Do you know what will shock them?" she asked with a raised brow. "Rise. Don't just survive. Shine. Make them blink twice when they see you again. Make them wish they never left you behind." Elora looked at her, tears still rolling, but something shifted inside her, a tiny flame, small but stubborn. Maybe Auntie Josephine was right. Maybe she had cried enough. Maybe it was time to rise. Even if her steps were slow, even if her heart still ached, maybe it was time to take the first step out of that invisible prison. Because the biggest revenge is success, and nothing shakes a betrayer more than seeing the one they abandoned fly. One fateful day, Elora was coming back from the market, carrying tomatoes and dried fish tied in black nylon. She was already imagining the cold water waiting for her at home when something stopped her. She saw a girl, beautiful, fresh-skinned, but struggling to walk with crutches. The girl looked exhausted, sweating badly, and holding a small grocery bag like it weighed a bag of cement. People were passing her like she was invisible. Some stared and walked on. Some hissed and crossed the road. But not Elora. She rushed to her side and gently said, "Hi, let me help you with that." The girl blinked and looked at her, confused. "Why?" she asked sharply. "So you can feel better about helping a poor cripple?" Elora smiled. "No, I want to help because I see your strength. I admire you. You're stronger than you know." The girl scoffed. "Please don't sweet-talk me. I know what I am. I'm a weakling, a burden. I can't even carry a bag of pepper without shaking like okra soup." Elora burst into laughter. "Who told you that lie? My dear, you're walking with 2 sticks and still carrying your load. That's not weakness. That's super strength. If it was me, I would have laid down by the roadside and cried till someone carried me." That made the girl laugh for the first time. A real laugh. "Who are you?" she asked. "Elora," she replied simply. "I live with my auntie at the edge of the village. People say I'm a monster, but I think I'm just beautifully different." The girl stared at her for a while, then smiled. "I'm Mandy. I stay with my grandma. I don't come out often. People look at me like I'm cursed." "Then those people are blind," Elora said, "because I see beauty and courage when I look at you." They kept talking and laughing as they walked. By the time they reached Mandy's house, the girl had forgotten all about her pain. For the first time, someone had seen her beyond her disability. And just like that, a friendship was born. From that day forward, Elora became the light Mandy never knew she needed. And through Mandy, Elora began to meet others. People with scars, broken limbs, speech problems, emotional pain, people who had been rejected by society. She didn't just talk to them. She listened, encouraged, made them laugh. And little by little, her small group of damaged people became a safe space, a family. Auntie Josephine would watch them from the window and say, the same girl they threw away in town is now the village's treasure. Alora was finally living, not just existing. She had found her tribe. She had found her voice. Most importantly, she had found her purpose. Back in the city, Elena was glowing like the morning sun. Her beauty had tripled, and everything about her screamed, perfect bride. The news of her wedding spread like wildfire. Radio jingles, social media posts, even small street posters had her smiling face plastered on them like a celebrity. Her wedding was the talk of the town. Expensive venue, the latest designer dress, and a rich, handsome groom from a powerful family. Elena was finally living her dream, the fairy tale life she always imagined. But something was missing. A piece of her past she was determined to bury for good. A week to the wedding, she picked up her phone and called her Auntie Josephine. Her voice was sweet at first, like honey dripping from the edge of a cup. "Auntie Jojo," she said, laughing softly, "I have good news. Your golden girl is getting married." Josephine smiled on the other side. "That's wonderful, my dear. Congratulations. So when are we coming to celebrate?" The sweetness in Elena's voice disappeared like a dropped meat pie. That's the thing, Auntie. I'm sending you the invitation, but you can't come." Josephine paused, confused. "Why?" Elena hissed. "You know why. I don't want any ill luck or pity-face girl at my wedding. This is my big day, and I don't want my friends or in-laws asking questions. Let her stay in the village. Let her not come and scare my guests." Josephine's eyes widened. "Elena, Alora's your twin sister." Elena chuckled sarcastically. "Exactly. Wuss! Now she's just a shadow of my past. Please, don't ruin my future by dragging her into it. Tell her not to even think of coming near the city that week." Before Josephine could say another word, the line went dead. She stared at the phone, heart heavy. She turned slowly to find Alora sitting quietly nearby. Yes, she had heard everything. Alora tried to smile. "It's fine, Auntie. She's right. Monsters don't attend fairy tale weddings." Josephine rushed to her and grabbed her hands. "You are not a monster, Alora. You are a warrior. And warriors don't beg for space in other people's story. They write their own." Alora nodded slowly, but deep down, something inside her cracked. Not because she wanted to attend the wedding, but because the person she once risked her life for had just erased her like a mistake. A whole year had passed since Elena's grand wedding. Life in the city moved on, fast and flashy as usual. But far away in the quiet corners of the village, something magical was happening. Alora, once the girl that even her own shadow avoided, had become the voice of the voiceless. Her small group of rejected, physically challenged, and abandoned people had grown into a full-blown community of hope. They called it House of Courage. People came from nearby towns just to sit with Alora for a word, a hug, or even just a smile. Her words were healing. Her laughter was medicine. Her presence? Unexplainable peace. She organized little classes, taught them skills, gave them hope, and reminded them daily, "You're not a mistake. You're a miracle with scars." Then, one sunny afternoon, something unexpected happened. A long convoy of black jeeps and tinted cars drove into the village square. Music blasted from speakers. People gathered, dancing and cheering. The politicians had arrived for campaign season. Among them was Mr. Denzel Okoye, a young, well-dressed, upcoming senator, known for doing the opposite of what people expected from politicians. He actually listened. After the regular noise, rice sharing, and promises, he stood to give his speech. But halfway through, one of his aides whispered something into his ear and pointed toward the far side of the crowd, where Alora and her group sat quietly. Mr. Denzel stared. His smile faded slowly into deep curiosity. After his speech, he walked straight to Alora. The crowd parted like water before him. "You're the girl behind all this?" he asked, eyes locked on hers. Alora stood, surprised. "Yes, sir. We're just doing what we can." Denzel looked around. The art, the organization, the laughter, even the smiles of the forgotten ones moved him deeply. He turned back to Alora. "You're not just doing anything, young lady. You're building a legacy." He stretched his hand. "How would you like to take this to the world stage? I'll sponsor your foundation. We'll make this international." The entire place erupted in shock. One of Alora's people fainted. Another one screamed, "Jesus has entered politics." Alora just stood there, shaking her head slowly, like someone waking up from a dream. Months later, it was a beautiful Sunday evening in the city, and Elena was seated in her plush living room, flipping through TV channels with her freshly painted nails and zero patience. She wanted noise, something loud and dramatic, something to match the emptiness she felt despite all the glamour. Then, click. The screen showed a large crowd, press, and flashing cameras. A big banner read, "Grand Opening of Alora House of Courage International Foundation." Elena's remote dropped from her hand. "What sort of coincidence is this?" she muttered, leaning forward. And then, boom! Alora walked onto the stage, radiant, glowing, confident, with a scarred face that no longer hid in shame. Her head was high, her eyes were bold, and her smile was the kind that made even the coldest hearts melt. Elena screamed, "No! It can't be! That's my—" She froze. Her husband turned slowly toward her. "Did you just say, 'That's my what?'" She stuttered, sweating despite the AC. That's my twin sister." Her husband's mouth dropped open. "You mean, you're a twin, and you never told me?" Before she could answer, the crowd on TV gasped. Mr. Denzel Okoye, the young senator himself, went down on one knee in front of Alora. The place went mad. Journalists were falling over themselves to get the perfect shot. He smiled up at her and said in a deep, confident voice, "Alora, I have seen beauty, but today I met purpose. I want to build my life with a woman who carries the fire and still chooses to shine. Will you marry me?" The audience screamed. Alora's eyes filled with tears. She said, "Yes!" Elena blinked like someone slapped into reality. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Her husband, still stunned, turned to her and added the final blow. "I work for that man. Mr. Hook, Denzel Okoye is the CEO of the international tech company I work for. That means your rejected twin sister is about to become my boss's wife?" Elena fainted. Just like that. Flat. And from the TV, the cheers got louder. The camera zoomed in on Alora smiling as Denzel kissed her hand, and Josephine whispered behind her, "You've risen, child. Now let them watch." As the applause settled and flashes from cameras lit up the air like fireworks, Alora slowly walked to the podium, microphone in hand, eyes soft but fierce. Her scars were still there, but she no longer hid them. They were now her armor. She took a deep breath. Then she spoke, her voice calm but heavy with emotion. "I am an orphan. I became an orphan the day I got burned in a fire accident that my own mother caused while cooking. I wasn't just burned by the flames. I was burned by the rejection that followed." The crowd fell silent. "I got these scars while trying to rescue my twin sister Elena from that fire. I would do it again, but what I didn't know was that saving her meant losing everything else. After that day, everyone I loved abandoned me. My mom, my twin sister, the people I called family. They didn't just walk away from me. They threw me away like trash." Her voice cracked, but she continued, stronger. "For years, I lived in the shadow of what I used to be. I hid. I cried. I begged God to just take me. And then Josephine came." She turned slightly and looked at Josephine, who was already in tears in the front row. "She didn't just give me a roof. She gave me my dignity back. She held me. She fed me. She loved me when no one else did. That's why I say it boldly. She is the only family I have left. and I am proud to call her my mom, not by blood, but by heart, and that's what matters most. The audience gasped softly. Tissues came out. Even pressmen wiped their eyes. This foundation, the Elora House of Courage, is for everyone who has been rejected. It is for every person who has scars the world refuses to understand. This is a place of second chances, a place of healing, a place where no one will ever be thrown away because of what they've been through. She paused and then smiled, gently, beautifully. And I couldn't have done any of this without the support of my fiancé, a man of vision, strength, and a heart big enough to love my wounds and not try to hide them. The future senator, Mr. Denzel Okoye. Thank you, my love, for helping me turn my pain into purpose. Thunderous applause erupted. People stood on their feet. Elora stepped back, tears streaming down her cheeks. Josephine rushed up to hug her, and Denzel joined them, holding both women with pride in his eyes. Meanwhile, back in her living room, Elena sat stiffly, tears burning her eyes, not from joy, but from guilt, regret, and bitter shame. Her husband glanced at her and whispered, "You lost a gem, Elena, and the world just found her." Hello, family. What a journey this has been. From pain to purpose, from rejection to recognition. Elora's story reminds us that no matter how life burns us, we can rise from the ashes and become something beautiful. Here's my advice to you. Never let anyone's opinion become your reality. If they reject you, don't reject yourself. If they walk away, don't stop walking forward. Scars don't make you weak. They make you real. And like Elora, your greatest strength can come from your deepest wound. Thank you so much for watching, for supporting, and for believing in stories that inspire and heal. Please don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next powerful story. I appreciate every single one of you. You are not just viewers. You are family. I love you all. Until next time, stay strong and stay kind.